Welcome, scholarship reviewers. Thanks for volunteering. Your time is very valuable, so I hope this automated and audio PowerPoint will be an efficient method of reviewing the process we use to score scholarship applications and determine awards. A little background for you new reviewers. Although the Boston chapter has had a scholarship program for many years, in 2018 the program evolved into a legal entity separate from the chapter and obtain 501c3 status so we can solicit and receive donations that may be classified as a charitable donation for tax purposes. Since 2011, the scholarship program has awarded over $155,000 to 116 individuals. In the past, the Boston chapter has been the sole source of scholarship monies, but in 2019, we will be expanding fundraising efforts with the end goal of being able to increase the amount and quantity of scholarship awards. Here's an overview of the process. The students fill out applications online. They go to our paid foundation staff who consolidate the information. They provide me, the scholarship committee chair, with a list of names. I put them in a recusal email to all of the application reviewers. You let me know whether there's a conflict of interest. A little more on that in just a second. Once I know who's in and who's out, I take a single PDF file from the Scholarship Foundation staff who have removed all of the names. So it's one large PDF file with all the applications, no names. I put that in an email and I attach a rubric sheet and a spreadsheet for recording your scores and your awards. That all goes to you. You score the applications and propose money. Send that back to me. I consolidate everyone's input and make a final proposal on who gets what level of award. And then each of you review it and approve it or challenge it. If there's a challenge, we generally do that by email. It's pretty rare actually, and we could also get on a phone call if we needed to. Once it's approved, I send that information back to the paid staff. They inform the people who have received awards and those that have not. And the funds get paid directly to the institution. They don't go to the student. They get added to the student's account at the institution. With respect to recusals, the text that you see is directly from the scholarship's procedure. At a minimum, a conflict of interest is deemed to exist when one or more applicants is a family member, friend, coworker, or client of the committee member or the reviewer. Family, client, and coworker are strong reasons to recuse. Friend, we found in the past, is a little relative. Is it a good friend? Is it an acquaintance, etc.? So what I ask is that you identify the issue to me, and I can make a decision and or engage the rest of the reviewers to help us as a group make a decision. Your application reviewer kit has or will come to you in an email with several attachments. The body of the email will have concise instructions with deadlines for the experienced reviewers or those with short attention spans, but also detailed instructions for reference or first-time reviewers. Attached are three key files. The first is a PDF with all the applications with the names removed, as mentioned earlier. Second is a PDF with the rubric or the measurement descriptors that we use. And the last is a spreadsheet for recording scores, ranks, and recommending awards. We evaluate each application in 7 areas. Each one has a rubric to give reviewers guidance in scoring, but there's still a lot of subjectivity that results in some variation between the reviewers. What is important is that you apply your interpretation of the rubric consistently across all the applicants. And that way, the final ranking, not the score, but the ranking of the applicants based on your score should be comparable, relatively comparable between all reviewers. When I consolidate the scores and the ranking, I look for significant differences between reviewers, and I flag them to the group for discussion if necessary. Here's an example of one rubric against one question. The question is, what's the level of ISP involvement of the student? And there does happen to be several different subcategories here. because obviously if their student is at a campus without an ISP student chapter, there's a different rubric. So this particular row is for ISPE involvement for students at a campus with a student chapter, okay? And what you'll see is every rubric has a number that links it to a question on the application form and a description of what that area of measure is, and a column with attributes. And this particular question has 4 different attributes. What's the student chapter involvements? Do they go to Boston area chapter events? Do they attend student-focused Boston area chapter events? And were they involved in the poster contest? And then the guidance from 1 where it's deficient, 3 acceptable, and 5 exceptional. And you can put a 2 and a 4 as well. But we do ask that you only give whole numbers. And you can see the helpful but not terribly illuminating descriptors where if it's deficient, they're not involved in student chapter involvement, for example, or they up to 5 where they have a leadership role. How many events they've been to, none, to 1 or 2, to 3 or more, etc. This is the general format of all rubrics. Here's a snapshot of the application that relates to the rubric we were just looking at. And the application format is the same for all of these questions. There's the actual question we've asked of the student. Below it is their responses. And then there's a scoring block. In the scoring block, there's the question ID number, which links it to the rubric as well as to the scoring spreadsheet. And then there's the list of possible scores. My advice to reviewers is to view the application file in their PDF viewer on their computer, enable highlighting, and highlight information, as I've done here, like the student chapter secretary. That helps to drive my score and to also highlight the score itself. And I go through the entire application file doing this, and then when I'm done, I go back to the beginning and I transfer the scores into the spreadsheet. Now let's look at the spreadsheet into which you're going to transfer the scores from the PDF application file. On the left-hand side in the first column, 1 row per candidate, we've listed the candidates by application number, still no name, the year they are in school, and whether or not their school has an ISPE chapter. And then numbered nicely to link it to the application are the 7 areas that we evaluate. And you will be putting your answers in this blue area. If you hover over one of these blocks, you can actually see the rubric again to remind yourself what the rubric is. The spreadsheet will actually, based on your scores, calculate a rank, putting number 1 near the one that had the highest calculated score for you. And then you can decide to override that, if you will, put your own rank. It's kind of optional right now because in the past, unless there's a tie, most people's scoring evaluates directly to what their rank is. So I would encourage you to use it this round, and perhaps we'll make a modification to that later. And then the spreadsheet will suggest a funding based on basically a correlation of what we've given out for money in score versus award in the past. And the most important is that you will provide your own funding proposal. You have a great deal of latitude here. I would use the funding estimate as some guidance, but what you want to make sure you do is don't overspend your budget. We generally have $12,500 per round to give out, and this section of the spreadsheet will keep a tally for you so you know when if you have more money to give out or not. When you're done completing the spreadsheet, this field here will turn green and congratulate you. So to summarize, you're going to be watching for a recusal email and respond to me, and then you'll be looking for the big application kit, and then of course you'll do your application review and propose scoring, and you'll have about a month to do this. I estimate in the typical cadre of about 20 applications that can take 8 to 12 hours, maybe if it's your first time a little longer. Generally 2 or 3 hour sessions are best, closely spaced, because you do kind of calibrate yourself against this rubric. and then of course you'll just send it to me and we'll follow this process. So once again, thanks for volunteering, but I do have one final request. I'd ask that you jot down any issues you have with these tools, or better, suggestions for improving them, and send them to me. I want to ensure that the tools we're using can support the expansion of our scholarship program.